Switala is the Chief Creative Officer at WigFig Marketing, a boutique marketing firm that provides targeted online marketing solutions for small and medium-sized businesses. Her clients enjoy a strong online presence, increased web traffic, and a thriving bottom line. And today we're going to be talking about tips for transforming your website into a 24/7 salesperson, which, I love because I'm all about having as much hours and time dedicated to sales as possible. So Kari, I want to start off with the understanding that a website in its own does nothing for sales. And a lot of people put a lot of energy into building the website, and then they don't actually do anything that makes it function for sales or drives traffic to it. And so if people are frustrated with their website right now, it's not that the website doesn't work, it's that you have this great tool that is lying dormant. So let's give them some tips on how to get that website selling for them.
Sure. So some of the things that we focus on at WildFig is, when we're working with clients and taking a look at their website, is the first thing that we look at is the call to action. So you can have a lot of great information, but if someone doesn't understand first and foremost what it is that you do, what is that service that you offer, how are you going to help impact them? So what kind of transformation can they expect to experience as part of working with you? And then the third is how do they do business with you? And I don't know if you follow Donald Miller at all, but he has got a great book out called Marketing Made Simple. And he just talks about how complex we make our websites. And we think that, either we make them super pretty or they've got some cool functions to them, but we forget about the key factor that you really want to get people, when they get to your website, within 5 seconds, they should clearly understand what it is you do, how you can help them, and what they need to do to take that next step.
I agree. And understand that when you pack your website with so much, because you feel like you want to tell every piece of the puzzle to every person, honestly, I click on your website and I click away right within moments because it's overwhelming and I don't feel like I have time to read it. So simple is definitely better.
Definitely. And I think too, as we look at the younger generations, I have 2 teenage boys, and they get to a website and it's like, if it doesn't load within just a couple seconds, they're moving on.
Yep.
And then if they get there and it's not clear, they're done. They're just going to click right off. They're not going to take the time to dig in where, in the past, maybe we would do that. So I think that's really key, is making sure that it's simple. I also recommend to have people, if they're going to redo their website or are going to take a look at that homepage, have their prospects, or their customers look at it and say, what's the first thing you notice when you get to my website? What would you want to have on here in order to, decide whether or not you would work with me? And I think that that's always a really good indicator. If you get someone said getting in their own way, getting your feedback from customers is always a great way to help provide you with some insight as well.
Yeah. One thing that I have been pointing out to clients this year as well is that there's a lot of websites that are written about me, about us as the company, instead of being written about you as the customer and what your customer's needs and wants and desires are. And so I don't know why we feel like we need to tell everybody all about us and make it about us, but I don't think that is effective with sales. Do you have any thoughts or insights on that?
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. I think, when we have to build our websites for our prospects so that when they get there, they're looking for themselves. So they have a want or a need for your product or service. We need to be able to speak to them. So when they get there, they get the information that they need in order to make an informed decision. And as you probably know, consumers today are the most educated they've ever been.
Yes.
Some of the statistics out there say that by the time that they reach out to you, whether that's they come into your retail store, they, call you to book an appointment, they're already 60% along the way in their decision-making process. And your website, your online presence is a huge piece of that. They're doing their research, they're looking at your stuff, they're looking at your competitors' information. And so it's really, really important to have a strong online presence that's going to help kind of sell you as well.
And do you have any opinions about the layout of the site? Is there a certain different tabs that you like to have, or certain things you like to see on the homepage in order for it to be most effective?
Yeah, so I think, if you think about it, we read left to right, and then, it kind of becomes like a Z. So I feel like your website should have, your logo in the top left, the right should be a call to action. And then the middle, above the fold, be stating clearly, in one sentence, what it is that you do. And that next sentence talking about how you can help, like how you're going to help that client, or what your products or services will do to help transform their life. And then another call to action button. And then after that, the services, so just making it really easy for people to navigate, and not having a lot of, information kind of flying in at them, just keeping it really basic up top. And then you can get into, on your about or your homepage, kind of dig in a little bit more, like if they want to learn more, now they can continue to scroll. They can see more about your team, how you got your company name, testimonials, social proof, things like that. But you want to have that top part just really super simple and clear, so that they can take action right away.
Yeah. One thing that I think is important too is to understand, what do you want what is the hierarchy of priorities on your website? Like for some of you, your website, your top priority might be that they schedule an appointment with you. For others of you, your top priority might be that they buy products through your e-commerce section. For others of you, it might be that your top priority on your website is building authority, because that's where people come to check you out to see. And it kind of depends on how you're driving traffic to it, and how you've got it structured. But I haven't seen, at least, and maybe I'm happy to be wrong on this, but I haven't seen that it can accomplish all things in equality. It's kind of like you have to determine what's the priority. And too many people, it's not, when I look at your website, I don't know clearly, like, what is your business goal from the website? It's just kind of all there and all looking equal. And so it's not really winning.
Right. And I think, so when I look at like the hierarchy, like we talked about, and probably, beat it to, putting it over and over again, but that top part is really above the fold, is your first most important page on your homepage. But the second, I think, most underutilized page is your About Us page, because I feel like you see more and more, and I think the millennial generation is really kind of driving a lot of this too, where we're going back to, like, they want to work with companies whose values and beliefs align with theirs. They want to understand, they do want to know your story, so like after they've gone through and they understand what it is that you do and how you can help them, now they want to know the people behind it. And so I think that is a page that when we're reviewing websites, we're like, oh, you don't even know any background information on them. And so I think that that's a really key piece, is that's your opportunity to shine, to kind of tell your story, and share what differentiates you from your competitors as well.
Yeah, I agree. And it's the same with your social media profiles too. Like, it's no longer enough just to have the business and their people are kind of removed from the business. They really want to see the people that are behind the business and understand what is the mission? What good are you doing in the community? Do they align with your values? Because more and more our millennial and younger generations, by the way, you guys, we got to stop talking about millennials like they're teenagers. They're like 30 years old and owning houses. Like, they are a major buying unit. So the millennials and the younger generation behind them, they don't want, like, if they don't align with your values, they will find the same product elsewhere with somebody that they align with their values. So if you're not clear with your values and you're not transparent and you're not, showing who you are and what you do, they're not going to be engaged with your content or your site. So I think that's really important. I love that. Do you have any tips on how to get more people to their website?
Yeah, I think, we leverage social media a lot. So, I mean, putting good content out there, I think that's the other part too. You can build a beautiful website, but if you don't have a lot of great content that's interesting and relevant and that's going to help your prospects make, a decision, they're going to go elsewhere. So we utilize, like, one of my favorite tips is on LinkedIn, using their publishing platform. So we'll actually write a blog, we'll post it on our page, and then we'll take maybe 2 paragraphs of that blog and we'll publish it on LinkedIn's publishing platform and direct traffic there. So it's just an easy way, to just another source, and another way to get that traffic to your site. But I think really a good kind of comprehensive approach, as I'm sure you do as well, is just making sure that you're leveraging all of these channels. So in your newsletter, that your email newsletter you're sending out, there should be links back to your website. And your social media, same thing. In conversations, your email signature. I mean, there's so many different ways to get that traffic, and just making sure that you're kind of bringing that all together.
Yeah. And I love LinkedIn. I will say it's one of my favorite platforms because it has the friendliest algorithm and it doesn't like require as much of you. You don't have to be on every single day posting all the time
Right.
in order for it to be working for you. You really can get on and put on a really great content piece. And if your content is great and get some engagement, they're just going to show it to people because the content's good. So in that sense, LinkedIn is a really, really friendly platform and we love that. Um, and yes, I agree with you that sometimes we put a lot of stuff out there, but we're not linking the pieces together. So it's like we're making the work harder for ourselves because we're doing the social media post, but it's not leading back. We're doing the email marketing, but it's not, they should all be interconnecting so that you're creating as many channels to your website as possible. I love it. Okay,
Definitely.
are there any other like burning tips that you think they need to know to get their website to sell for them?
Yes, I do. I have one big one, making it really easy for them to interact with you. We see this a lot. We had a wedding venue that we worked with, and we built out a whole automated system for them. What they found is that the more people were booking tours, so we added a link to their website so that brides and grooms, they get there, they want to book a tour, they can book it directly. It's tied in
Mm-hmm.
through Calendly into their calendar. And what they found was they were missing a ton of traffic. The majority of their tours were actually getting booked between 1 and 3 a.m., which they obviously are not going to staff the phone at that hour.
Right.
And so it made it really easy for them they were just watching as the tours would come in. People could book a tour. They didn't have to, be answering the phone. And it just made it super simple for them to engage. And they found that they got way more tours, their tour booking went up, their staff time went down. And then of course we built a whole automated system behind it so that it would communicate with the couple prior to the tour, after the tour, et cetera. But that I think is one thing. Just make it super easy for people to engage with you so that it doesn't matter what hour of the day, but they can get some sort of contact or book a meeting or exploratory
Yeah.
call or whatever it might be.
Well, and I think just the ability to book right then versus send us information and then we'll call you back. I know personally, I will, if I fill out one of those forms that says, if you give us your information, we'll call you. I go to the next website until the very first person that calls. If I need something, I go until the very first person calls me. And then that's usually who wins the contract or wins the job because we're not very patient anymore. I mean, think about it. If you need a plumber or you need I did this with my last real estate agent. So Diane, pay attention to this. They were not calling me back fast. And I was like, no, I need an agent really fast. And I want somebody who's really quick and responsive. So the one that I was able to schedule with the first was the one that we ended up going with. And even if they're not getting a call from you right then, but they're scheduling a time for you right then, they feel like you're the most responsive one. So don't be the person that has to call them back in your system.
Right.
You're not that patient anymore.
No, and I think we don't want to talk. I mean, we've kind of changed a little bit as consumers too. Like, I don't want to get on the phone with you first. I want to be able to learn enough information to see if it's worth a phone call
Yeah.
because we're busy, right? So I think that that's important to just make it as easy as possible for people to schedule or to learn more to get the information that they need to know.
Yeah, I love it. Great tips. Okay, how can our audience get in touch with you? And what's the best way for them to connect if they want to learn more?
Sure. So a couple different things. You can go to our website, which is wildfigmarketing.com. And then we have a special offer. I don't know if those are going to get posted somewhere where we'll
Yep.
do a website evaluation. So it's kind of a long, it's kind of a long link. And I see that Stephen put it in there. But we're offering complimentary website analysis. So we'll actually go and review your website, provide you with a report back, as well as three simple tips that you could use or implement right away to make your website more effective and to turn it into a 24/7 salesperson.
Awesome. We love that. That sounds great. Well, we so appreciate you being on with us today. And
So
I
much.
encourage all of you to reach out and get connected and find out because I know as you were talking, I was like, oh, there's some things on my website that I could improve on too. I think a website is something that you'll never stop finding ways to improve it. And there's always something that you can do that's going to make it work just that much better for you. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on
Exactly.
with us. We
Exactly.
appreciate your time.